Hey there, and welcome back to Nutrition Contradiction with Lana. I am finally doing my Hashimoto's thyroiditis video, and I am simply going to stick to my experiences with it. Now, I have tried for the last week and a half to make this. I've tried to make it in different sections, break it up into 3 different videos. It's just too long. It is a huge portion of my life that I'm trying to explain through. So I decided to go about it in a little bit of a different way. I'm going to use my journey through finding out about functional medicine, finding out about how they view autoimmune diseases, and that way I can break it up into 3 parts. And I think it will be informational if you're going through something similar, or if you have any autoimmune disease, or even if you're just finding out about functional medicine. And that way also you'll realize that I am not an expert in this at all. I have read 3 books, 2 by Isabella Wentz, the thyroid pharmacist. She also has a blog under that name, Thyroid Pharmacist. She's extremely knowledgeable. She's where I got a lot of my help and my information, following her guidelines and a lot of it. There were also a couple of doctors along the way on YouTube, like Dr. Ken Berry. But I also read a book by Dr. Stein, who is a functional medicine practitioner. I think Ben Azadi as well in Keto Camp is a functional medicine practitioner, and I got a lot of good stuff from him as well. So I figured that way we can break this up and make them a little bit shorter, and it's not just a data dump of a bunch of information. So I won't even go into, all I will say is that back in 2007, when I was diagnosed, I had just had my youngest son, Timothy. 6 months before that, I was at least 60 pounds overweight. I was unable to lose the weight and make weight for the Coast Guard. I was on the worst schedule known to man, in my opinion. I think I had been on it for 3 years at that point. You would do 12-hour watches. You would do day shifts for 2 or 3 days. Sometimes we'd even do 4. Then you'd have a couple of days off, and then you'd go to night 12-hour shifts. And you would stay up all night, go home and sleep, stay up all night, go home and sleep. Then you'd have a couple of days to recover, and you would go back to day shifts. My body and my well-being did not take to that. I don't know how anybody does. It was awful. And that was at the point where I was dealing with the Hashimoto's antibodies that were causing me to have low levels of the thyroid hormone. I just didn't know it at that point. I just thought it was, she has this thing called hypothyroidism, and now she needs a medicine for the rest of her life. Because that is how traditional medicine views even autoimmune diseases. So an autoimmune disease, if you don't know, is your body recognizes something. Your immune system recognizes some portion of your body as foreign, and tries to attack it. So with Hashimoto's, it is my thyroid. My immune system literally goes after my thyroid and just destroys it. So that's fun. So where am I going to go with that? So the difference between contemporary or traditional medicine and functional medicine is functional medicine says, well, there was a root cause. They use the terminology root cause a lot. There was a root cause. There are triggers. There's something that made this autoimmune disease become active in this person. So in functional medicine, they say that there are 3 aspects that you have to have all 3 aspects in order for an autoimmune disease to become active. And those 3 are, number 1, the right genes. And maybe in another video, we'll get into a little bit of the epigenetics, because epigenetics is where you have the ability to turn on or turn off genes. But for right now, it's just a matter of, number one, you have to have the right genes or the wrong genes for an autoimmune disease. Number two is the trigger or multiple triggers. There are triggers that cause the autoimmune disease to become active. And then number three is a controversial topic, which we are going to actually start with. Everything's controversial, but intestinal permeability. So you need the genes, the genetics, the triggers, and then a leaky gut. Now, as I said, contemporary medicine doesn't even want to recognize this thing called a leaky gut. It has, scientifically, is it proven? I don't believe so. Because if it was, I think I would find that report. But, so intestinal permeability is saying that your intestinal walls actually become separated enough so that bacteria and toxins can leak through out into your bloodstream. It makes a lot of sense when you read about it, and it makes a lot of sense with what's going on with a lot of people. So that's where we're going to start today. Intestinal permeability. Now, I feel as though I absolutely 100% had a leaky gut. I think I healed a lot of it, and the part that I really want to focus on today is the fact that my acid reflux and my heartburn was a signal about how bad my gut was. Once I started reading and digging into heartburn and acid reflux. Now, in order to discuss yet again another controversial subject, let's just discuss this portion of acid reflux. So you have the traditional medical model, and you have functional medicine, or even just newer medicine approaches that are saying we agree that heartburn and acid reflux are happening because of lowered esophageal sphincter pressure. So there's a sphincter, that's a cool word, and it's supposed to keep the stomach acid down. And with heartburn and GERD and acid reflux, it's coming up into your esophagus, which is dangerous and no good. So that's all the two camps agree on. Now, the traditional medical model says it is caused by high levels of stomach acid. Too much stomach acid or too acidic. I don't even know how that's possible. Whereas functional medicine or newer models say, no, it's actually being caused by too little stomach acid or a higher pH, which is not acidic enough to break down the food in your stomach. So I had been on a proton pump inhibitor for at least 6 years straight. I want to say it was more than that, and I think I maybe took a break when I lost, 7 years ago when I was at my lowest and I was running Spartan sprints. I didn't need my acid reflux medicine, so I wasn't taking it then. So I had maybe a break of about a year and a half, and then I was back on the proton pump inhibitors. I think I was taking omeprazole, but there's all different ones. And the whole idea behind these medicines is that we need to lower the acidity of your stomach. Your stomach acid needs to be less acidic. And sometimes it can even stop the production of your stomach acid. So not only is it a higher pH, but there's less of it. So why is that important? Like, this goes back to low-level anatomy, like understanding why you have stomach acid, what are the functions of it, and why it's so important. So I figured, let's start there. Let's just start right at the beginning, because I had to be refreshed about this, even though I went through anatomy classes. So let's talk about that. So there's four jobs. There's four jobs of stomach acid. The number one, the first job of stomach acid is to break down the protein that we eat. break it down so much that it can actually be digested and absorbed. Now, what comes in with the protein we eat, especially for us meat eaters, or me, I am a meat eater, what is coming in with that protein that I eat, because it's mostly meat, is essential amino acids, vitamins, nutrients, minerals, like everything that is complete in that meat needs to be broken down in order for us to absorb it. If our stomach acid is not as acidic as it's supposed to, or we don't have enough of it, that's not going to happen. So that is number one. Number two, it activates pepsin. Pepsin is another enzyme which is necessary for protein digestion. Pepsin is very important. Number three, it signals. So the stomach acid actually signals, and this all starts with the whole process of smelling the food, saliva, chewing, and then the stomach acid signals for the pancreas to start secreting its enzymes and for the food to pass from the stomach into the small intestines. The fourth thing that stomach acid does is it inhibits the growth of bacteria that comes in with the food, that we eat, with everything. There's bacteria on everything. It prevents infection. So these are extremely important functions of stomach acid. Why we ever thought, now even the drug companies say that it's not safe to stay on stomach, I don't know how to say it, these drugs that lower your stomach acid, to stay on them for more than 12 months at a time. But we do, because the battle is real. Acid reflux and heartburn are awful. Like, if you deal with them on a daily basis, it is awful. Let's just talk about that. So we have the two camps, and what I decided to do was live in the functional medicine camp, and I decided to take myself off. I think I slowly weaned myself off. There's a very good video that I'm going to link to. It's Dr. Ken Berry. He's a family medicine practitioner, and he gives his home remedy and protocols. I also read through all of Thyroid Pharmacist's. Her blog is extensive, and even in the books I read how to go about doing that. So I weaned myself off, which took a little bit because heartburn sucks. So I did wean myself off, and then I did take something, which I don't want to put the name of it up here, but I took hydrochloric acid with pepsin and bitters in it. Now, I would take it with every meal that I had. They say take it with every meal that has protein. I took it with every meal because every meal that I eat has protein. I want to say that I did that for 2 months. I also had to stop eating. This was very difficult. I tried to stop eating 4 hours before laying down. Now, some people just lay down. You're resting. You're on the couch. You're laying down. You're relaxing. I tried to be very diligent about this. At least 3 hours, I had to sit up and not lay down. And I'm talking about just drinking water. Anything before I laid down. I probably only lasted a couple of weeks with that because that was very difficult. But that actually really helped. The days that I didn't achieve that, I would have heartburn in the morning when I woke up. So there's some tricks on that on Dr. Ken Berry's video too, so you should definitely watch that. This video is getting a little bit long, but I want to say this. If your gut isn't properly breaking down, if your acid is not properly breaking down the food, it is sitting in your stomach for longer. It's not moving to the intestines. So that's part of why functional medicine feels as though the pressure becomes lowered in the esophageal sphincter because there is a buildup of undigested food in our stomachs because our stomach acid is no longer able to break it down. This is going to cause yeast problems down the line in the intestines. This is going to cause bacteria problems, a lot of problems. I was able I want to say 2 to 3 months. I know I wasn't taking the hydrochloric acid for that long. I did take some digestive enzymes here and there. I wasn't very good with them. But the hydrochloric acid, I think, was the biggest thing. I no longer take anything. I don't take a heartburn pill. I don't take hydrochloric acid. I believe that I helped my stomach begin to produce more stomach acid and just healed the whole process. So, this is just the start of my Hashimoto's videos because I don't know how else to do them. So we're going to discuss the three main ingredients that must be present to have an autoimmune disease according to functional medicine. So today we talked about intestinal permeability, leaky gut, and for me, I really believe that my heartburn and my acid reflux and me lowering the acidity of my stomach was the cause of my leaky gut. So that's it. I think I'm going to stop it right there before it gets any longer. And the next one, we're going to go into my triggers. That one, I got to figure out how to make it shorter because I had a bunch of triggers, I believe, that sparked my Hashimoto's. So, okay. Like the video if you like it. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Definitely check out Dr. Ken Berry's video. I'm going to try to link it below. And also I'm going to link the Thyroid Pharmacist's blog because that is awesome. Okay, thank you. Bye.